All right, lads, let's move on to the next segment and let's focus on the FA Cup quarterfinals. A lot of big Premier League teams are playing in the upcoming games. My big question to you, Nick Mendoza, is who needs this more? We're looking at a lot of teams here, Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Leicester, Everton. A lot of big boys still in the competition, but you could argue a few of these teams need it more than others, right?
Yeah, and it also depends very much on where you think the mind frame of the owners of those teams are. So the first thing I think when I look at this list is that you take Man City off and you take Sheffield United, Bournemouth, and even Saints off because it's it's a long haul. Wow, listen, no Oriol Romeo. How could anyone possibly survive without him? So I look at Chelsea, Man United, Leicester, and Everton. Those are the four I want to look at. Chelsea, I would normally say not them because Tuchel was just hired. He's got a great resume. But what's Roman thinking? How does he feel about all this? It's a defensive team. Yeah, I would say Solskjaer, as we've all discussed so many times in this. But Ed Woodward loves him. Everything's going to be fine. So then I get to Everton or Leicester, and who I choose is I think Everton needs it the most because they've invested a lot. Ancelotti has convinced them to keep investing. He's got them in a position where in any game, now they may lose to Burnley or get swept by Newcastle. By the way, think about that. But they can hang with anybody. They've given Man City problems. So I think for Ancelotti to hold that up going into next season when he'll want to be competing in Europe and a top four candidate, I'm going to go with them as needing it the most.
Andy, do you agree with that? Because Everton have got Manchester City, so that's a very tough quarterfinal to get past.
Yeah, I think I completely disagree with that. and it's a very simple reason why. You're right about, Ancelotti getting Farhad Mashiri to spend in ways that he's not done. They've got the new stadium coming, et cetera, et cetera. Who will Everton ever get as their manager that is better than Carlo Ancelotti?
Ask Mike Ashley about Rafa Benitez.
He might have the best and strongest job security of any manager in the entire league because Everton, all due respect to him, it's a fine club. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Everton. They will never do better than Carlo Ancelotti. I don't care who they try to go out and hire, they will be rejected. To get him it's an incredible job. And he's doing an incredible job for them as well. I think the point on Chelsea that you make there, Tuchel doesn't need this. Let's wait until he loses a game before we wonder if Roman is getting antsy to fire. And he's not lost a game. He is totally fine. And he's given them an identity. I would say that his only worry would be, is it the right identity that Roman wants them to have? Because he's always wanted the attacking style. And, he went through Mourinho and multiple other Ancelotti as well, because they didn't play that way. I think it's pretty easy. I think it's Manchester City because they're trying to do something that's never been done before. Never, ever.
Quadruple. I mean, yeah, of course. But I think that's if they have the League Cup in the bag as well. They do. Don't worry. Yeah, but I disagree. I think it's Leicester. I think Brendan Rodgers has to deliver something. I mean, they just missed out on the top four last season. They're out of the Europa League, got dumped out of that surprisingly. So I think they have to kind of come up with the goods. And yes, they're playing Manchester United in the quarterfinals, so it's tough. They're the underdogs there. But I would fancy them if they got past Manchester United, maybe a Leicester City, Man City final. You never know with the attacking players they have. And I think that would be a tangible bit of reward for Leicester City to have that, instead, or even if they miss out in the top four, because even though they're in that conversation right now and they're playing well, you could easily see them dipping out with the games they have late in the season against Chelsea and other teams up there. You could see them missing out in the top four again. So, yeah, I'm going to say Leicester for that. But, can anyone stop Man City? That's the point, right? The quadruple, Andy mentioned it. They're going for it, Nick. That's like the massive, massive carrot dangling in front of Pep Guardiola's boys. And also, might I add, the UK government hasn't confirmed it yet, but the FA Cup final at Wembley is going to be one of the test events to get fans back on a larger scale. And there's talk of up to 20,000 fans being allowed at the stadium for the final. So that's a huge increase, and just kind of a reward, I think, for some of these teams, even, you know, like Southampton or Sheffield United, if they were to make it through into the semi-finals, you know, stranger things could happen. Then that's a massive incentive for them as well, to give their fans a huge day out at Wembley at the end of the season, where they haven't been able to watch them play all season long. So, Nick, I know you want to jump in there, but we've all picked different teams there: Everton, Man City, Leicester. So it's a good competition this season. It really is.
It's great. I'll throw another name out there because, again, this is the one that I think needs a trophy, and that's Solskjaer. So let me throw Manchester United out there. They, by Sunday at about 3:00, could be done with trophies for this year. So there's that. They have to go to Milan, having given up an away goal, and beat AC Milan. Then they've got to go to the King Power Stadium. And I think let me throw in the quick Leicester point. I think Leicester's got an out because Maddison's been hurt and Barnes is out. And I just think there's more forgiveness there if they can lean on an excuse. I know United doesn't have Pogba, but they've got everybody else more or less. So for me, I do want to put that out there for Solskjaer, especially because he's got that semifinal curse on him, right? He lost 3 semifinals last year, including the Europa League. And who has he lost to? Big teams. And it goes back to my favorite chorus is, who have you beaten? They just beat City in the Premier League. And didn't we all kind of give them a little bit more shine for that? Well, beat AC Milan and Leicester twice in 4 days without Pogba. And I will apologize in a big way next week.
There you go. I mean, looking ahead, lads, to these 4 quarterfinals, who do we expect to advance? The 4 matchups are Everton against Man City. We all saying Man City there? Yeah. Yep. All right. Leicester against Man United. Man United.
I'm Leicester.
I'm going to go Leicester. Again, Man United's coming back from Italy, and I think that's a big ask.
Okay, and then Chelsea, Sheffield United. Bless them.
Probably Blades by 4. Blades by 4. Big day for George Baldock. First hat trick. No,
Chelsea. We're going Chelsea. And then Bournemouth against Southampton, my beloved Southampton. I hope they get through, and to give some kind of glimmer of hope for the latter stages of the season. Do we all agree with that?
Well, yeah, let me wrap this segment up with a question for you, Joe, about that. If they get to the semifinal or potentially even a final of the FA Cup, and what's happening in the league is happening in the league, you have to take that and be pretty happy, right?
Well, I will say that's a good point, because there's been a lot of tight defeats in this horrendous run they've been on, to Wolves and Aston Villa and Brighton, and a lot of, you know, those games, FA Cup games, have been around them. They've beaten Wolves and Arsenal in the FA Cup, and Hasenhüttl said, I'm listening to the fans. They want to go on the cup run. I should be resting a lot of my starters here, but he went full strength against both Arsenal and Wolves to get to the quarterfinal stage, and now they're playing against the only second-tier team in Bournemouth left in the competition. So you'd have to think they fancy their chances. And then who knows, if they get Leicester or Everton or whoever in the semi-finals, it could be done. So that would salvage their season. If they stayed up, finished 13th or 14th, and got to not just the semi-final, I think if they got to the final, then most fans would be like, okay, we're within 90 minutes of winning a trophy, and we stayed in the Premier League, and that would be fine. So, yeah, to wrap things up on the FA Cup quarterfinals, we'll have you covered with all the latest FA Cup news and analysis on Pro Soccer Talk at NBCSports.com. And it's going to be a big weekend, and I really love this competition. I always have as an Englishman. I think it's so special, and just to see the scenes at Wembley, if there are close to 20,000 fans at the stadium, be a great way to see the season off, because it's been really tough for people here who love football so much to not have been able to go and see their teams. So, yeah, it'll be a showpiece event that will show us the way for the future for next season for stadiums over here.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe. Make sure you subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and join us at the weekend at 7 a.m. Eastern on NBCSN for Premier League mornings, and sign up for Peacock Premium, where you'll have access to 175 exclusive live games all season long.